Enoch chapter 16. And as to the death of the giants, wheresoever their spirits depart from their bodies, let their flesh, that which is perishable, be without judgment. Thus shall they perish until the day of the great consummation of the great world. A destruction shall take place of the watchers and the impious. And now to the watchers, who have set thee to pray for them, who is the beginning were in heaven, who in the beginning were in heaven. Say, in heaven have you been, secret things, however, have not been manifested to you. Yet may you know a reprobated mystery, and this you have related to women in the hardness of your heart, and by the mystery have women and mankind multiplied evils upon the earth. Say to them, never therefore shall you obtain peace. They raised me up into a certain place, where there was the appearance of a burning fire, and when they pleased they assumed the likeness of men. They carried me to a lofty spot, to a mountain, the top of which reached to heaven. And I beheld the receptacles of light and of thunder at the extremities of the place. Where it was deepest, there was a bow of fire and arrows in their quiver, a sword of fire and every species of lightning. Then they elevated me to a babbling stream, and to a fire in the west, which received all the setting of the sun. I came to a river of fire, which flowed like water, and emptied itself into the great sea westwards. I saw every large river until I arrived at the great darkness. I went to where all of flesh migrate, and I beheld the mountains of the gloom which constitutes winter, and the places from which issues the water in every abyss. I saw also the mouths of all the rivers in the world, and the mouths of the deep. I then surveyed the receptacles of all the winds, perceiving that they contributed to adorn the whole creation, and to preserve the foundation of the earth. I surveyed the stone which supports the corners of the earth. I also beheld the four winds which bear up the earth, and the firmament of heaven. And I beheld the winds occupying the exalted sky, arising in the midst of heaven and of earth, and constituting the pillars of heaven. I saw the winds which turn the sky, which cause the orb of the sun and of all the stars to set. And over the earth I saw the winds which support the clouds. I saw the path of the angels. I perceived at the extremity of the earth the firmament of heaven above it. Then I passed on towards the south, where burnt both by day and night 6 mountains formed of glorious stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. Those which were towards the east were of a variegated stone, one of which was margaret, and another of antimony. Those towards the south were of a red stone. The middle one reached to heaven like the throne of God, a throne composed of alabaster, the top of which was of sapphire. I saw, too, a blazing fire hanging over all the mountains. And there I saw a place on the other side of an extended territory where waters were collected. I likewise beheld terrestrial fountains deep in the fiery columns of heaven. And in the columns of heaven I beheld fires, which descended without number, but neither on high nor into the deep. Over these fountains also I perceived a place which had neither the firmament of heaven above it, nor the solid ground underneath it. Neither was there water above it, nor anything on wing, but the spot was desolate. And there I beheld 7 stars, like great blazing mountains, and like spirits entering me. Then the angel said, this place unto the consummation of heaven and earth will be the prison of the stars and the host of heaven. The stars which roll over fire are those which transgress the commandment of God before their time arrived. For they came not in their proper season, therefore was he offended with them and bound them, until the period of the consummation of their crimes in the secret year. Then Uriel said, hear the angels who cohabitated with women, appointed their leaders, and being numerous in appearance made men profane, and caused them to err, so that they sacrificed to devils as to gods. For in the great day there shall be a judgment, with which they shall be judged until they are consumed, and their wives also shall be judged, who led astray the angels of heaven that they might salute them. And I, Enoch, I alone saw the likeness of the end of all things, nor did any human being see it as I saw it. These are the names of the angels who watch: Uriel, one of the holy angels, who presides over clamor and terror; Raphael, one of the holy angels who presides over the spirits of men; Raguel, one of the holy angels who inflicts punishment on the world and the luminaries; Michael, one of the holy angels who, presiding over human virtue, commands the nations; Sarakiel, one of the holy angels who presides over the spirits of the children of men that transgress; Gabriel, one of the holy angels who presides over Ikkasit, over paradise, and over the cherubim. Then I made a circuit to a place in which nothing was completed, and there I beheld neither the tremendous workmanship of an exalted heaven, nor of an established earth, but a desolate spot prepared and terrific. There too I beheld 7 stars of heaven bound in it together like great mountains, and like a blazing fire. I exclaimed, for what species of crime have they been abound? And why have they been removed to this place? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, and who conducted me, answered Enoch, wherefore dost thou ask? Wherefore reason with thyself, and anxiously inquire? These are those of the stars which have transgressed the commandment of the Most High God, and are here bound, until the infinite number of the days of their crimes be completed. From thence I afterward passed on to another terrific place, where I beheld the operation of a great fire blazing and glittering, in the midst of which there was a division. Columns of fire struggled together to the end of the abyss, and deep was their descent, but neither its measurement nor magnitude was I able to discover, neither could I perceive its origin. Then I exclaimed, how terrible is this place, and how difficult to explore! Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, Enoch, why art thou alarmed and amazed at this terrific place, at the sight of this place of suffering? This, he said, is the prison of the angels, and here they are kept forever. From thence I proceeded to another spot, where I saw on the west a great and lofty mountain, a strong rock, and 4 delightful places. Internally it was deep, capacious, and very smooth as if it had been rolled over. It was both deep and dark to behold. Then Raphael, one of the holy angels who were with me, answered and said, these are the delightful places where the spirits, the souls of the dead, will be collected. For them were they formed, and here will they be collected, all the souls of the sons of men. These places in which they dwell shall they occupy until the day of judgment, and until their appointed period. Their appointed period will be long, even until the great judgment. And I saw the spirits of the sons of men who were dead, and their voices reached to heaven while they were accusing. Then I inquired of Raphael, an angel who was with me, and said, whose spirit is that, the voice of which reaches to heaven and accuses? He answered, saying, this is the spirit of Abel, who was slain by Cain his brother, and who will accuse that brother until his seed be destroyed from the face of the earth, until his seed perish from the seed of the human race. At that time, therefore, I inquired respecting him, and respecting the general judgment, saying, why is one separated from another? He answered, 3 separations have been made between the spirits of the dead, and thus have the spirits of the righteous been separated, namely by a chasm, by water, and by light above it. And in the same way likewise are sinners separated when they die, and are buried in the earth, judgment not overtaking them in their lifetime. Here their souls are separated, moreover abundant in their suffering until the time of the great judgment, the castigation and the torment of those who eternally execrate, whose souls are punished and bound there forever. And thus has it been from the beginning of the world, thus has there existed a separation between the souls of those who utter complaints and of those who watch for their destruction, to slaughter them in the day of sinners. A receptacle of this sort has been formed for the souls of unrighteous men, and of sinners, of those who have completed crime, and associated with the impious, whom they resemble. Their souls shall not be annihilated in the day of judgment, neither shall they arise from the place. Then I blessed God, and said, Blessed be my Lord, the Lord of glory and of righteousness, and who reigns over all forever and forever. From thence I went to another place towards the west, unto the extremities of the earth, where I beheld a fire blazing and running along without cessation, which intermitted its course neither by day nor by night, but continued always the same. I inquired, saying, What is this which never ceases? Then Raguel, one of the holy angels who were with me, answered and said, This blazing fire which thou beholdest running towards the west is that of all the luminaries of heaven. I went from thence to another place, and saw a mountain of fire flashing. Both by day and night I proceeded toward it, and perceived 7 splendid mountains, which were all different from each other. Their stones were brilliant and beautiful, all were brilliant and splendid to behold, and beautiful was their surface. 3 mountains were towards the east, and strengthened by being placed one upon another, and 3 were towards the south, strengthened in a similar manner. There were likewise deep valleys, which did not approach each other, and the 7th mountain was in the midst of them in length. They all resembled the seat of a throne, and odoriferous trees surrounded them. Among these there was a tree of unceasing smell, nor of those which were in Eden was there one of all the fragrant trees which smelt like it. Its leaf, its flower, and its bark never withered, and its fruit was beautiful. Its fruit resembled the cluster of the palm. I exclaimed, Behold, this tree is goodly in aspect, pleasing in its leaf, and the sight of its fruit is delightful to the eye. Then Michael, one of the holy and glorious angels who were with me, and one who presided over them, answered and said, Enoch, why dost thou inquire respecting the odor of this tree? Why art thou inquisitive to know it? Then I, Enoch, replied to him and said, Concerning everything, I am desirous of instruction, but particularly concerning this tree. He answered me, saying, That mountain which thou beholdest, the extent of whose head resembles the seat of the Lord, will be the seat on which shall sit the holy and great Lord of glory, the everlasting King, when he shall come and descend to visit the earth with goodness. And that tree of an agreeable smell, not one of carnal odor, there shall be no power to touch until the period of the great judgment, when all shall be punished and consumed forever. This shall be bestowed on the righteous and humble. The fruit of this tree shall be given to the elect, for towards the north life shall be planted in the holy place, towards the habitation of the everlasting King. Then shall they greatly rejoice and exult in the Holy One. The sweet odor shall enter into their bones, and they shall live a long life on earth, as thy forefathers have lived. Neither in their days shall sorrow, distress, trouble, and punishment afflict them. And I bless the Lord of glory, the everlasting King, because he has prepared this tree for the saints, formed it, and declared that he would give it to them. From thence I proceeded to the middle of the earth, and beheld a happy and fertile spot, which contained branches continually sprouting from the trees which were planted in it. There I saw a holy mountain, and underneath it water on the eastern side, which flowed towards the south. I saw also on the east another mountain as high as that, and between them there were deep but not wide valleys. Water ran towards the mountain to the west of this, and underneath there was likewise another mountain. There was a valley, but not a wide one, below it, and in the midst of them were other deep and dry valleys towards the extremity of the three. All these valleys, which were deep but not wide, consisted of a strong rock with a tree which was planted in them, and I wondered at the rock and at the valleys, being extremely surprised.